We bring the Transportation Committee meeting to order. Councilman George Valentine will give us the prayer, and then we'll say the pledge.
Thank you, Father, for allowing us to come tonight, Lord, in good health, Father. We ask you to bless this meeting tonight, Father. Bless everyone here. We ask you to guide us, Lord, give us wisdom in directing the business of the parish and for the constituents we serve. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Cinnamon, please, record that Councilman Killenspeck is not here and that everyone else is present. We have a public comment period. Anybody wishing to speak can speak at the agenda item that you, as it comes up. If you just fill out a card with Cinnamon so she'll have a record of it. Thanks. Okay, the first item is the Joseph Area Road Demco Servitude Relocation Agreement. Mr. Root.
Yes, ma'am. What this is all about is the widening of Joseph Area Road. We've been going back and forth trying to negotiate with Demco for the moving of their utility lines. The final agreement come back. We sent it to legal, and our legal advisor is reviewing it. But just to give you the most important part of that agreement is how much money they're asking the parish to put up to assist them in the relocation of those utility lines. And that is, they're requiring the parish to put up $280,000 for the relocation of utility lines. Of that, $60,000 is to actually purchase additional servitude to put those utility lines in. We've been going back and forth on this, and the opinion of our legal advisor is that they have a legal right to require this from the parish. So we are bringing it to the committee tonight for your consideration to accept the contract pending final review of our attorney, and then take it to the full council.
Any comments? Mr. Rue, what funds will this come out of?
This comes out of the Road Widening Project Fund for Joseph Area Road. And it is budget. We do have budget, enough money in our budget to pay for it. The fact of the matter is, and the reason we've been negotiating with Demco is that usually with energy we pay very little, of any, for the relocation of their lines. But with Demco being on the situation with that utility, they do have the right. They obtain the right of way along that road and purchase the right of way, and we are required because of that to pay this amount.
Mr. Rue, does this have to go to finance from here, or does it go straight to the council?
That's your decision. This is a road item. It's part of the road project. So that's why you need to make the decision, but you can take it to either. It's just whatever your pleasure.
Yeah. I go ahead and make that motion that we move forward with this because it's going to hold up the projects.
Into the budget.
It's in the budget already.
I have a motion and a second. Any objections? Then the motion passed. Thank you. Number 5, I-10 and LA-73 lighting as part of the road project and parish-wide lighting cost. Mr. Root.
Yes, ma'am. We were asked to bring this back to the committee tonight, and unfortunately we do not have all of the information in. We are trying to get it from various sources and trying to isolate the cost of the lighting, the cost of putting the lights, and also the cost of maintaining the lights just at these intersections, but we do not have all the information right now. So I request that we bring it to the next transportation meeting with this report.
Mr. Rue, we've discussed this at length at some time, and it was said that if we couldn't do this, if there was no reason, if there wasn't the money to put the lights, that we would scrap it, at the time after the design at construction. Is there any way that we can pre-construct something and then come back and do it later?
That's what we're talking to the engineer with, exactly that scenario. They definitely going to have it in the plans, and it's going to be a while before it goes to bid. So we have some more time to talk it over and get some cost on it and make a decision. But it will be in the plans, and it is a possibility you can stub it out maybe with and then run your wire, your conduit and everything now, and then run your wire later and apply your lighting at a different time.
Thank you. Cinnamon, make a note that Councilman Hillensbeck has joined the meeting. Number 6, the Sunshine Bridge lighting. Mr. Roof, you all have that? Who put this on there?
I think that was the last council meeting. I think Councilman Thomas asked, I think, to put it on. If I'm not
Does
mistaken.
anybody know what it pertains to?
Well, I think it was just inquiring. I spoke with Councilman Thomas, and it was inquiring as to what do we have to do and who do we have to talk to try to encourage some lighting on Sunshine Bridge. I know the approach ramps and everything are dark. I know that for a fact, and there's just no lighting anywhere along the bridge, and it's a dangerous situation. Unfortunately, the bridge is in St. James, but Ascension Parish, all the Ascension Parish residences go back and forth and use it. It's more Ascension Parish residents than St. James Parish residents use it, probably. And so it's just something that the state needs to be made aware of. And I would like to see if there's something we can do or light a fire on them to try to get some lights there.
Is there anybody that we could?
We will contact the state and ask about it and see who funds it now and who's responsible for it, and respond back to them and put in our request from the parish that something is done with the lighting. We can do that from DPW.
Okay. When you get that done, can you give us a copy of the letter, whatever you send to them?
We will give to the committee the request to them and also the response back from them.
That would be appreciated. Thank you. Mr. Lamont.
Mr. Bill, you think it'd be proper, since it's in St. James, that we send them a letter letting them know that we are looking into a resolution, or do you need, maybe you'll take care of that from DPW?
Just let me get the preliminary information from
Okay.
DOTD
Just let
and see
St.
how
James know that we
how
are
it works
looking
over
into
there.
This is
And then we'll go
parish.
to the next step.
Thank you.
Number 7, update grass cutting on state roads.
I'm handing out a little report, and again, it's not our primary report, but I'm handing out a report to give you some indication of where we're at on our cutting and spraying of the roads throughout the parish. Again, at your leisure, look at it. What we are preparing for each council member is a book of all our roads and the order that they're taken. And again, we separate the east side of the parish with the airline highway, east and west, 2 different crews, or several crews, really. But that's how we separate the parish. We will be giving you a booklet before the next meeting, within the next couple of weeks. Complete list of roads and the order that they're cut in, and an update as of that time where we're at. And it's going to be something in the order of what we have here: first, second, third rotation, fourth rotation. Now, what we're going to ask y'all to do at that point in time, every month, we'll update you, say where we at in that list, and then you can update your own list and keep up with it. And at any point in time, if a constituent asks you or tell you that a road wasn't cut in the last 2 years, well, go to the list and you can see exactly what has happened on that particular road, and be able to respond. But that's what we have for you. We should have it completed in the next couple of weeks.
So this is going to be a regular item for a while on the agenda?
Yes, ma'am. And what we're going to do, again, once we give you the book, we're just going to come to the Transportation Committee, and as per your book, we're going to ask you to bring your book to the Transportation Committee, and we just say, okay, as of today, we're at this point there. And then we'll give you an update from month to month. And again, if you will, you'll update your own book. Keep it up.
Senator,
Okay.
can you see that that's put on the next agenda?
Great.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Bill, I see first completion you say is done, rotation.
Let me see.
Is that,
Yes. Oh, yes.
because I know Deer View off of Bayou Cease, I got a call this week that said
Right.
they're
And
not
again-
cut down that lane.
Well, and that's why it can be really useful to have the full book, so you can actually go to that road and see exactly what was done since the first of the year.
Okay.
And because some of the information we get is misleading, and you need to really look and see exact dates, or if anything was done on it. It may not even be recorded for some reason, and we'll have to go back and check it. But that's the purpose of the book that we will be giving you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill. Number 8, certificate of substantial completion, Boudreaux Road, Phase 2, clearing and grubbing. Pen Company Incorporated.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and take care of that. Basically, what that is a certificate. We're recommending a certificate of substantial completion for Boudreaux Road, clearing and grubbing. It was done by Pen Company, and it's recommended for approval.
Move to take it to the council.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any objections? Then the motion pass. Okay, number 9, substantial supplemental agreement number 2, Roddy Road Bridges at Burt Allen Ditch and Shadow Creek. Mr. Kent Israel. Welcome, Kent.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. URS has made a recommendation after negotiation with GSA for fees for these 2 bridge sites and have submitted them to DPW, Mr. Bill Rue, for his further handling. Are there any questions?
So moved.
Second.
Any objections? Then the motion passed. What was the motion?
Can we take it to the council? I mean, it's going to have to go to council for approval.
Okay.
What is your
Right, Bill?
Yes.
I mean,
what
it
is your
needs to go to
timetable
council.
on this now? So look,
I forget what the time is in the contract, but it's like 30 or 60 days to do preliminary plans on
And
each
then-
one of the sites, and then we'll go into final plan phase.
so when does the bridges look like they would begin construction? And
That is going to be a matter of negotiation, because I've talked with the council member, Mr. Jared, and he was talking about having it done not in the school year, where we could put supplemental specifications where the contractor would go to work, say, the 1st of June or the latter part of May of '07, and we would have the plans done by that time. Because I believe you want to have the work on these 2 bridges done during the summer months when there's no school.
And the way these bridges, I know you know that they're situated, there's a road that connects in between so that people that live in between the bridges can get to their houses. But
Well, we would make it where you would build only one bridge at a time, but so they could have a way out.
Right.
You wouldn't want to. You don't want to have to build a detour bridge.
right. But we want to do it in the summertime.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need a detour because they have a road in the middle to get out.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
all right, good.
Thank you. Number 10, DOTD agreement for Louisiana 42 project.
Yes, ma'am. This is a cooperative endeavor agreement contract between Ascension Parish and DOTD. It's pretty much a standard contract when we enter into these type of agreements or projects. However, I think it's the purpose of DPW to bring certain highlights of the contract to the committee and to the council as to what are the requirements of the parish, because there are some money involved in doing this project that the parish will have to put up. And again, it's a fairly extensive agreement. The main points of the agreement is basically three, and that's what I want to emphasize to the committee. Again, if in fact you go to recommendation to the full council, the full contract will be submitted for your review. But the basic 3 points is first, that the DOTD will manage the project, contract all consultants, and handle the bidding and construction. And that's mandated by all federal funded projects. It has to go through DOTD. DOTD will provide a 20% match on engineering contracts and any right-of-way purchases or utility relocations. However, Ascension Parish will need to provide the 20% match for construction. We don't have that total number yet because it's still at stage 0, and that evaluation is being done right now. However, when it comes back from that stage, from that feasibility study, and we get the numbers in, and if it's $6-7 million for construction, the parish will be responsible to put up 20% match on that money before construction can proceed. Now, we checked this out extensively, and I don't think it was understood by everybody that on these type of projects that the parish will be responsible for some of the funding. But this is how we stand at present. We're still negotiating, but it don't look like it's going to change. This is a substantial amount of money that the parish would have to come up with. So before it can proceed any further, the committee is going to have to make a decision and take that decision to the full council for a resolution.
Go ahead. I do.
Bill, is this the same thing we did on 73, or no?
It's
Yes or no?
Yes. Yes, it is.
So we're responsible for 73 also.
Yes.
I mean, no matter what they come
if it's
with.
some federal funding. Well, again, we haven't, on Highway 73, we have not received the contract.
Right.
It was my understanding in the past that on demo projects, from federally funded demo projects, that the parish, or there was very little, or if any, matching money involved. But according to this and conversation with DOTD, that's not the case.
See,
So,
I
but
know
again, we have not received the cooperative endeavor agreement. We're on 73 yet.
Right.
And when we receive it, I expect that there will be some matching funds that the parish will have to supply for that.
Because I know we
project
already
too.
committed for the trunk line, and I know we
That's
had some
right.
discussion about this. Mr. Hillensbeck did too, about the fact whether we were going to need that on 42, and we had some discussion. So what you're saying is this is their agreement.
That's their
And
agreement.
once it goes in effect, we're responsible.
Yes, sir. And it's been through legal and.
So what's the timeline on this stuff?
Well, again, everything's stalled right now. For us, we won't know exactly how much that money is, how much money we will be responsible for until we get the estimate from the engineering firm that's doing the feasibility analysis.
Right.
And but we in one of these catch-22s that DOTD would not proceed any further until we assure them that we will be
Make the
responsible for
commitment.
that
Okay.
match.
Mr. Bill, the availability, I guess the money is what I'm talking about. We don't know the amount. What do we have available to cover this in the budget?
What we do have some money
If it's
available,
$2 million or
but they're
$3 million?
dedicated right now to, and it's not a formal dedication. It's just a verbal dedication to spend the money on our widening project of parish roads.
Parish roads.
Now that money could be used for anything we want. So it's just a decision of the council, which way to go with it. We're trying to get preliminary information right now to give us some kind of indication of what this 20% match would be on construction. And hopefully we'll have that, any day now. But again, we're kind of in one of these loopholes. We really don't know exactly what we're looking at.
So the widening projects that's on the books would have to come to a halt to offset to pay for the matching funds for these state highways.
Or modified. However, and I see we have increased funding. Our tax has been good. coming in strong, and which is building up that fund and our road fund somewhat. So we have to look at the whole picture.
Thank you, Bill.
Councilman Hill is back.
Yeah, thank you, Cheryl. I think it's important that, because I know we're going to have people from the area that's watching this program, I think it's important, need to read this one little paragraph about the agreement covers all activities related to the improvement of Louisiana 42 from US 61 Airline Highway to LA 44. So it's that section of road, approximately 3.5 to 4 miles, including feasibility study, stage 1 planning, environmental, pre-construction engineering, utility relocation, construction administration, and inspection and construction. And that being said, for clarification, that I'd like to make a motion that we move this to the full council for consideration.
I'd like to make a amendment to it, is that we send it to the full council, providing we still fund the road widening project that we have on the books here. I don't want to pass over something that we have, and I think we can find enough money after that to still fund these. All of these projects are all viable and all needed, but I would not want to bump one for another, and if we have agreed already, so that would be my amendment to it. But yes, it needs to be sent to the council so we can move forward.
I think, of course, it's just really a recommendation from the Transportation Committee, because really the council needs to vote on it. But I mean, we could do that with emphasis. We'd like to do that, but I think Ms. Hillenbeck right. We need to probably go to the council with yes.
Yeah, to clarify just one thing, and Mr. Israel brought it to my attention, is this is not something that we'll have to put up the full 20% at one time. It's in phases. It might be over several years, a couple of years. It's as the construction progresses in portions and the funding comes down to it, we'll pay for 20% per section. We call it, one time we even talked about intersections first and then filling in between. So it might be for the first phases of that, getting intersection improvements. So it'd be 20% match on that construction part. So everything will be in phases, and it may go over a year, 2 years, or more, before final completion.
I'll second Mr. Hillenbeck's motion as is.
We do have, Bill, some extra sales tax money coming in, so possibly maybe we could put a little bit aside.
Well, that would be in our budget process,
It'd be
where long-term budget process that DPW will prepare, looking at all our these projects, Highway 73, try to get some more information, and also some of the other wishes of the council for road projects and infrastructure improvements. We're in the process, and reevaluating those projects according to the increased revenue from our sales tax. So we're going to be looking at all of that, because we're going to be moving into actually preparing some of our budget items for the next year pretty shortly.
But there'll be some time, like you said, if it's done in phases, that like you said, as it comes up, we will have a little bit of cushion that we can kind of prepare, for that without scrapping other projects.
And Madam Chairman, what we're going to do is prepare you a spreadsheet of a multi-year plan. We have one now, but it's going to be revised to reflect additional revenue, additional projects, break it down so much per year, and reflect that accordingly, with the amount of revenue coming in, to see what the bottom line, if we can afford it, what can we afford, and then you make the choice of pulling one or adding something, or whatever, adjusting it to make sure your priorities are met. But we are preparing that budget, long-term budget for transportation as we speak.
Councilman Jackson.
I just wanted to remind everybody that yes, we are getting an increase in revenues, but the construction costs and everything have just skyrocketed, and that I really think that's what's happening, is all of this is being offset. The increase in revenues and the increase in construction costs is probably a wash, or we might be getting further behind. So, when we look at the funding sources and we see that there's an increase, we're thinking in our minds, we're always thinking about the cost that it was last year, the year before, and we have to rethink all of these things. So everybody just needs to keep that in mind.
Councilman Hillensback?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Fontenot. I'd just like to remind the committee that from the 2001 count on Highway 42, it was a 20,000 vehicle count daily at that time. And you can just look at the amount of growth we've had since 2001, and then also the impact from all the displaced people from Hurricanes Katrina and Rita. So I'm just going to, the issue of the road widening project, that never came up when we agreed to do the trunk line and get 73 started over in Mr. Valentine's district and Ms. Fontenot's district. So, and I'm glad to hear that this is going to be in phases. So it's not like it's going to hit us all at once. But we didn't have a problem moving forward with 73, and I think we need to move forward with 42. It's just at a point it's almost unbearable up there. So in the northern end of the parish. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Hillensback. That's what we're trying to do, is get it to move forward.
You need to vote. We'll get a motion in a second.
Any objections to the motion that it goes to the full council? No. There being none, the motion passed. Number 11, the 2000 roadway reconstruction project bid tabulation.
I'll take that also, Madam Chairman. Bids were received for the 2005 road project. The design engineer is BKI. There were two bidders. The low bid was by R.J. Dago & Sons Contractor, and in the amount of $2,468,905.85. It is within our budget, and we recommend acceptance of the low bid.
Second.
Any objections? Then the motion passed. Number 12, the proposed roads to be taken into the Ascension Parish road maintenance system.
Madam Chairman, I have presented to you tonight is a list of the subdivision road list which have been inspected and have passed a warranty inspection, and they are listed in as the subdivision along with the street address, street name rather, and the footage of each street. And these have been passed through by CRS with Michael Sanjay and his group. Therefore, I ask tonight that this council accept these roads. This be sent to the parish council as acceptance of the roads and those will be in the subdivisions of the Lakes at Oak Grove, Port Cashire, Oak Grove Courtyard, Old Dutchtown First Filing, Royal Palm Estates First Phase, and Louisiana Heritage. Those subdivisions with the appropriate roads listed beneath them.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Councilman Lambert.
Just to let everybody know, it looks like about 31 roads we're taking into the system, it looks like. So, and that comes around pretty often to us. So just to let everybody know, our parish roads are getting plentiful, so our funding needs to stay up to keep up with our parish roads. Thank you.
Councilman Hillensback.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chairman. Laverne, I've been requested for us to look at the council taking in Slick Lane and where it could be taken in and overlaid. Would you investigate that, please, and come back with an answer on that road? I know it's a narrow road, but it's got several houses on it. People are taxpayers, and they feel like the road ought to be taken in. And would you mind taking a look at that and get back with me on it?
Mr. Hillensback, I think you need to address
that.
that.
After the meeting.
The Public Works Director needs to address that due to the fact that we're only involved with the subdivision construction phase,
right. But
DPW should be able to handle that and give appropriate measures to the accepted procedure for roads to be into the system.
Okay. I'll get with you, Bill, after the meeting. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, as another list that I have in front of you, there are 3 different subdivisions. I want you to understand that the inspection sequence that we are following indicates that these 3 subdivisions had defaults in the roads,
and are being investigated as such with meetings with the contractors, engineers, and the owners, along with Microsoft, JCS, RS, and the parish inspectors. And provisions are being made to what the needs and necessary options will be to have these roads made into a final acceptance phase.
Thank you, Laverne. There was a motion and a second to accept these roads in this list, to accept them into the parish system. Are there any objections? There being none, the motion passed. Old business road project updates. Mr. Kent Israel.
Thank you, ma'am. Is a list of the projects that are ongoing in the parish, and we'll start the first one on the 2004 road project, Phase 1, with Barrier Construction. A letter has been sent to Barrier Construction outlining the limits on Henderson Bayou Road and El Landry Road that must be repaved to correct the rideability problem. We have not heard back from Barrier on this as of yet. The letter was sent last week. You heard earlier on the 2005 road project, BKI is the design firm, and bids were received on May 4th. And that was discussed earlier. In intersection improvements, Phase 2B, GSA being the design firm, reviewing plans at this time for adding lanes at 5 different sites. Go down to, on the road widening project, Joseph Aerial Road. The project is in a right-of-way acquisition and utility relocation phase. GSA has met with the school board representatives concerning adding right turn lane from 933 westbound to Joseph Aerial northbound in front of the Galvez Elementary School, and a left turn lane from Joseph Aerial southbound to LA 933 eastbound. The design engineer is estimating the additional cost of this construction and any additional right-of-way that may be required. Other items that of interest, that DOTD will be taking bids on May 31st for overlay on airline from 74 to 42. The scope of this project is to patch and overlay the existing 4-lane highway. The range of cost for this project is $3 to $5 million. Krebs LaSalle Lemieux Consultant has submitted for review by DOTD preliminary plans for the intersection improvements at LA 73 and 621 at the I-10 interchange. And DPW and URS is continuing to improve the final product by strengthening the specifications on rideability. These are additional specs that will be added to new plans as we take bids on them. Any questions?
Yes.
Mr. Shixman.
A 2005 road project, when are they going to start construction?
It will be about 6 weeks before there. By the time we go through the process, the full council has to approve the contract, and then give notice to proceed, and so it'll be about 6 weeks.
And at that time, we could probably get a schedule of what.
Yes, we will give a schedule. At least by the next transportation committee meeting, we should have a schedule worked out.
Good. Thank you very much.
Any other questions from Mr. Kent? I do have one.
Yes.
Intersection improvement projects, reviewing plans for adding turn lanes at 5 different sites. Do we have those sites?
Yes, they're identified, and they're done in the final plans already. I don't have the names here in front of me now, but With I believe there was 8 different sites originally. 3 of them were pulled out and let to contract, and the ones there, Swamp Road at Airline, Duplessis at 73, and one of them 431.
Yeah, why don't you just get us a list?
Okay, that's fine. I will.
Make sure we get a list.
929 at 61 is one of them too.
Well, that one was pulled out, I believe.
Why?
No, I don't know, Mr. Hildenbeck. It was before.
Let's get a list, Mr. Edwards.
Okay, we'll do.
Before we speculate here.
Well, I'm not going to speculate.
Okay.
Yes, we'd appreciate that. You
Okay.
can just email us a copy,
Will do.
the 5 of us.
Excuse me before you leave.
Yes.
Yes.
Who pulled it out?
I don't know. It was the only reason I know it was not. It was listed in the consultant's contract to doing this work. There were 4 intersection improvements. One of them was not let to contract. I do not know the history of why. I can research it and
Yeah, give me an answer if you would.
we'll do.
DPW, they shaking their head. They don't know. So somebody had to make a decision.
Somebody did.
Yeah.
It was not in the set of plans.
And I don't believe it was this body.
There's been 3 that I know of that were let. That's been in several transportation.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that
I don't know why the
yeah.
one was pulled, but I
Now,
know
it-
we've always
Well,
talked
let's
about
let Mr. Israel find out for us.
Thank
We'll
you.
find out and get back with y'all.
Okay, and I have one
I
other
have-
question from URS.
Sorry.
We had met at the Capitol last week with Jody Amade and Eddie Lambert and Merton. I was just wondering, I thought we had it understood that they were going to bring us, y'all were going to bring us something tonight to the meeting for us to look over. Because I know there's a stakeholders meeting.
There's a
and we
stakeholder-
were supposed to see what was going on first.
There was a stakeholder meeting scheduled for next Wednesday at noon with the council members, and there's a list of invitees.
And I know that because, Parish President announced it at the meeting the other night, but I was at the meeting at the Capitol, and it was my understanding that URS would have us some preliminary stuff to look at tonight, and that Mike said he would call a special meeting on the 30th for us to make a final recommendation before going to the stakeholders meeting. So I was kind of surprised when it was announced that there was a meeting set up, and that was the first I'd heard about it.
The stakeholders meetings was set up for next Wednesday. We've got a list, a preliminary list that we have taken in all the information that the council members, the administration has given us, but has not been finalized at this point. We're waiting until the stakeholder meeting to find out if they have any additional, what information they can present to us that may need to be included in this road project.
Okay, that's just not how I understood it
Sorry.
last Wednesday.
Sorry.
Thank you. Do we have any other old business?
No.
Mr. Valentine?
Mr. Bill, 2 things here. One, the speed limit on Cobblestone that we brought you at the last transportation meeting. Have we verified that reduction yet? It was Cobblestone Avenue was supposed to reduce from 25 to 15 miles. Brought you the petition and everything. Do you remember?
Was that for the speed reduction? Is okay. I think we were talking about
We were doing speed humps there,
humps.
right? But we had to do the reduction first. And it never came
No,
before, so I was just wondering.
That's the evaluation is since it's a closed subdivision that it's no problem reducing the speed limit if that's the pleasure of the council. With the speed humps, the question is we need to know to be able to design the speed humps the decision if you want to reduce it to 15 or leave it at 25,
Right.
because it affects the size and elevation of the speed
Right.
humps.
Well, they won't reduce it to 15 anyway.
That's no problem because it is a closed subdivision.
Right.
However, we do recommend a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit on subdivision roads, but it's totally within the decision of the pleasure of the committee and the council to reduce it.
Well, that's what the petition said. They wanted to reduce it from
Right.
actually 25 to 15.
Right.
And they did I give it to you. So if
I have that.
okay,
And
if we want to verify whatever you need, and then we'll put it on the council agenda.
you can put it on the council now if for a decision if you want to move it down to 15.
Yes.
That's totally acceptable.
Okay.
because it
The
is a
association
vote
wants to do it, and 96% of the residents want to do it. So I think we need to go ahead and follow through on that one. The other one is what we've been talking about for the last 2 or 3 months, and that's the load limits on Seabro Road and no trucks on Swamp Road. And back you had said there were some ordinances. We talked about the fact that Boudreaux Road was a no truck road, or is designated as a no truck road, and you were still researching the ordinances and everything. Where are we on that? Because I have a road with a lot of residents on it that are spending some sleepless nights because of early morning dump trucks and garbage trucks and everything going to the dump, doing the, I guess the dump trucks headed back to the big development that they got going. And it's a dangerous situation really at the end of the road where it goes onto the bluff road because they're really hitting their brakes and what have you. It's creating big problems, which we've talked about already.
Right.
And I, in fact, I called your office this week and talked about the fact that at least 15 years ago there was a 5-ton load limit on a lot of parish roads. That was one of them that had a 5-ton load limit. But for whatever reason, the signs just disappeared. Is that something we can research to see if if police jury had passed that back so that we can?
The only thing, we thought we would have a specific motion or ordinance placed on Boudreaux Road or some of the other roads with specific language as to the restrictions placed on those roads. We couldn't find anything. But it is part of the ordinances that the parish does have the right to place any kind of restrictions on just about any kind of restrictions if it's justified on any road within the parish system. I set the speed limits, set the weight limits, and set other conditions that's necessary to provide a safe road. Now, what we're trying to find out or trying to do now is what kind of specific language that needs to be in to make it where there's no objection from businesses or anything like this. And we're still in the process of doing that because we have no record in the past of this actually going through. I think what happened was in that particular case, Boudreaux, the police jury at that time just made the decision to put a no truck route or something like this on it. And I think a lot of places, similar to weight limits, load limits, they just arbitrarily made the decision, resolution to put a certain weight limit on a road. But we want to make sure that we're on sound legal ground, and we would have no maybe suits or law or recourse from businesses or whomever if we do that. And again, we're still in the process of getting that language together.
Right. I mean, I think we're well within our our legal right to do it. 1, it's a parish road. 2, it's very narrow. 3, it's a lot of residents that live on it. It's well traveled by vehicles to start off with, and there is options to go around on state road, brand new state roads, 73 to go around via the bluff or whatever to bypass that intersection. I know Mr. Shakespeare for several months has been wanting his, actually a year now, I guess, been wanting his road kind of the same way.
I think, Councilman, that we can do that in the form of resolution, and if you think back on the official form of resolution, whereas this and whereas that, we state the determination factors of why you want to do this particular thing, and that's sufficient. And again, I'm waiting on final word from legal as to that being all we need.
Mr. Babin have it, O'Neill Parrington?
O'Neill is working on it
O'Neill
for us.
It's all right if I call him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mr. Rue, I wanted to kind of clarify about the humps. How are we going to pay for those things? I know that I had gotten an email from one of my constituents that they had asked about it, and you had said that the residents in the subdivision would have to pay.
Yes, ma'am. That's the agreement in Cobblestone, is that they're willing to once we're in the process of putting the figures together. We're looking at several companies because one of the companies we looked at is fairly expensive, but we had information that there are less expensive alternatives to provide the same benefit. and we're trying to get as many companies to quote on some of this as possible. Once we get this information, we go back to the Cobblestone was the first one, and see if they're willing to pay that much money. And once they commit, they give us a check, and then we'll buy and install it. That is what we're trying to do right now, and as a test case on one or two subdivisions to see how they work.
I know that one of mine was supposed to be a test case too. I'd have to go back and refresh my memory from the emails as to which one it was. But I would like to see that, if y'all could maybe get some sort of standards drawn up so that we know that when people call us and ask us that we'll be able to give them the correct information.
Yes,
So if you
ma'am.
could get that
We
going.
don't have a problem. Again, we like to just handle one or two possibly subdivisions first, and evaluate the benefits of it and the costs, and then open and then put an actual procedure out for doing this at other places. And we're right in the middle of that.
Okay, thank you. Anybody want any other old business? Any new business?
Yeah,
You still have old business?
yeah, I have one thing.
Okay.
Bill, we had requested last year to check for 941 to be put on the maintenance list for grass cutting and everything if we could. It's just, apparently it's a road that's being bypassed by the state, and there's, most of it is being kept up by the residences, but in between where the pastures are, it's just horrible. And if we can get on this, within this road, I think it would be cost effective because of the amount that's kept up by the residences. It would be cost effective for the parish to get reimbursed for that if we get it by the mile. But that would be one if we could make a request on to get that into our maintenance system.
I don't think there's a problem with DOTD. They'll let us have as many roads we want, I think.
Well,
with the same unit price contract. However, I need to bring to your attention that we're in the process of negotiating with DOTD on some of this because the contract will be coming due pretty soon. The fact of the matter is that it looks like we're going to be spending twice as much as what we're receiving for maintaining these roads. So this is something that the council will have to evaluate if it's worth us participating in an amount of over and above what we're getting, which is about 300,000. It's costing us over 600,000. Is it worth $300,000 to the parish to keep maintaining these roads? And that has to do with fuel costs, liability costs, insurance, and salaries.
so what you're saying is call our legislators. Huh?
We either need to get, and it's hard for DOTD to give us a special contract because this is a statewide type issue, and if they do it for us, they have to do it for everybody. The downside of it is I think we're maintaining it better than what the state would be maintaining the same roads, but it's costing the parish people roughly $300,000 in their tax money to maintain some of these highways. So consider that, and we're going to be bringing the whole contract and solid figures to you probably at the next transportation meeting, but it's something for you to consider between now and then.
Thank you. Old business, new business?
New business.
New business, Mr. Hillenspeth.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chairman. Back to Highway 42, Bill, or to the committee, that four-lane section of 42 between Airline and the end of 42, or after you come through Jefferson Highway, with the amount of traffic we have in there now, I'm getting calls for turn lanes and turn lights that we really need. Like today, I came through late this afternoon, and traffic was backed up from Jefferson all the way to Airline Highway, someone trying to turn left and go north. And so I'd just like to put forth a motion that we send a resolution to State Representative Lambert and Senator Amedee to ask them to get DOTD to go back and look at that situation and put us some turn lanes and adjust the lights as well. And that's Highway 42 at Highway 73 or Old Jefferson.
Second. Motion.
Senator, do you have that motion? Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any objections? Then the motion passed. New business?
Yeah, Mr. Bill,
Hang on a second.
the list, the 2006 road project, how quick on a time frame do you want to send this to the full council?
Yes,
To
sir.
give everybody a list?
And yeah, in fact, if we can discuss it right now, what I handed out is the preliminary list on the 2006 road construction project with the cost estimates and a little explanation of what will be done on each road. We would like this considered by the Transportation Committee and also other council members, and give us an opinion on if this is something you want to do, these roads, or if there is an inclusion of more roads or a substitute of roads. We are trying to stay within a $2.5 million budget for the whole project. These are just estimates here, so it's very possible that that it may run over the $2.2 million, that we are estimating because of costs, increased costs. So we're being conservative with it. But we need to get this project rolling. It's going to be different than all other projects that Ascension Parish has done, in that DPW will do the engineering, total engineering on it, with oversight by URS. We're going to do it in a letter bid form, which is similar to Baton Rouge and other parishes. The construction project will be bid out and managed by URS, just as they do right now. Again, they're going to be acting as our oversight over us. They're going to be looking over everything and making sure everything's right before we go to bid, advising us on doing it, and also they'll take over full construction management of it with the contractor and DPW personnel for its inspection of the road project when it goes to construction. Again, as soon as we can get a firm commitment to the list, exactly what you want on the list, we can proceed to the final engineering of it.
Just make sure that, all the rest of the councilmen get this list, and maybe we can move on to that at our next meeting. Is that quick enough?
I just need authorization from you to send it to all the rest of the council
I'll
members.
make that motion.
Second.
And then we can actually hash out some of it between now and the next council meeting, and if they have some objections. Mainly then, again, I reiterate that for any road put on, we almost have to take something off because we don't want to go over our $2.5 million that's budgeted for. This is maintenance. This is maintenance work that we consider a yearly item, and we're going to start doing this. If it proves worthy, we're going to start doing it in-house. If we're able to do that, we're estimating that we can save at least $100,000 to $150,000 by doing it, and a faster turnaround rate, because this is something that we're going to continue to do over. As soon as we get finished this, we're going to start working on the next one for preparing the list and doing preliminary engineering.
Good.
Senator, I would ask that not only that they would get the lists, but that they would be asked to pay particular attention and get back to Mr. Rue as soon as possible if they have something other than what they want on here, so that we know what direction we're going in from some of those that are not here tonight. We have Mr. Philip Garrett, I think, that wanted to speak. Mr. Garrett, under old business.
Well, it can be old business, and there's part of it under new, but it's actually something that's been kind of housekeeping thing. If y'all remember, last year we had an ordinance that was sent to smooth out and streamline some of the purchases and so forth, so they would meet the plan of government. And we had done this one time before, but it wasn't done, technically right as an ordinance or something like that. So we were going to just do a thing to bring it up again, to clean it up. But some extra little language got added in without my knowledge. If you remember, George, it's when it was something that where if we made an offer to somebody, then somebody else could come in and adjust the offer later. And you're not allowed to do that, in that you have to make a firm offer. In other words, you pre-approve everything, and that we make an offer based on the appraisals or range of values as a firm offer. That means if they accept it, we have to go through it. You can't go say, well, how about doing it for less? Because then you can't expropriate unless you start it out with a firm offer. And that's just a minor thing. That was in there, but somebody added a thing, review by somebody else. And so I had to argue against what we'd been trying to get to make sure we're doing it anyway. I mean, we're going in and getting buying property without having to have each and every one go to the council through this. And so I was going to get with Tom Dawson. I already have talked to him some, and Ricky Babin to go back to the same thing that y'all had before and just take that little thing out and send it to the council.
Yeah, we just need it, excuse me. We just need it in writing, whatever, the discussion you have, and bring that back to us. We'll get it on the Transportation Committee meeting. We'll discuss it.
Okay, that speeds things up. And then on the relocations, it's very important to have pre-approval. We started out and did the first ones kind of like that, where we know in advance, how much we can spend for purchase supplements to buy another house or rental supplements, and put some limit in that we think will pass scrutiny, and let Mr. Rue make the decision. You made the decision on all of the previous ones, and it worked just fine. The reason being is if somebody finds a house, and by the time we get it through a month, 2 month long process, the house is gone. One lady had made a deposit on one. If I didn't know she was doing it, or I would have said, hold up, and she lost her deposit. But what I suggest doing is have, with Mr. Rue's approval, allow the parish president to give someone an advance. If we're going to be paying them, $30,000 or $40,000 extra to buy a house, we need to be able to give them an advance so they can hold that property, because property it's hard to find, and they have to hold on to it. And so we need to just clean that up so that can be allowed for the president to do that.
Those kind of things, you really need to get the documents together, and
we have
them and review them ahead of time. So you might want to get that together and have them put it on the Transportation Committee for our review next time.
That'll be fine. We'll work something out. But it was working like that, and Mr. Rue can, we send him a thing that's saying what we want to do, and we would sign off of it. And in this case, we would have Tom Dawson sign off on it also, and so that we have that, and it just goes through. Nobody's going to do anything once it's done. Nobody's going to go change it at the council meeting. And sometimes you have to discuss very, very private things about people's age and their income and so forth. So we would be setting up what we would do in what's called last resort, somebody that has no money to help.
If you can get that for us, we'll review it. It's really, give it to Tom.
Okay.
Tom will see to it that he gets to us.
Okay.
That'd be the best way to
do it. He realizes we need to do it, and we're going to make up some suggested. Y'all have to make the limits. Y'all have to set the limits, but we'll make some suggestions.
Tom, and he'll get with us to get everything straight. Mr. Shakespeare.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bill, we had a report, a lady from around Cotton Drive on 308, where they called us. It's a state highway, where they have an excessive amount of speeding, and they've had a couple of accidents. And she wanted to inquire about getting a reduction in the speed limit there, and I had suggested that we first contact the sheriff's office and see if we can get an enforcement of the speed limit that is currently there, and then if we could possibly make some kind of study on that area, 308 at Cotton Drive, or ask the state to do it if it's their jurisdiction, and make a request for the sheriff's office to enforce the speed limit there. because a couple of the neighbors have called and said this is being abused there. It's a pretty highly residential area on that area.
And we'll certainly make the request to DOT. It'll be their responsibility as if it's on a state route. More than likely, though, they have used, and we'll use, again, the 85 percentile rule to set the speed limit. It's probably what we use to set it as it is now. And they don't vary off of that 85 percentile rule too much. But, again, we'll verify that with them.
Yeah, if you could send a request to the Sheriff's Office from the Transportation Committee to,
and we can do that.
try to enforce, because, to be honest with you, it probably doesn't matter what speed limit you put if they don't, if it's not enforced there, they're going to go a lot faster.
That it?
Thank you.
I want to we're fixing to adjourn. What is it, Mr.
I just we had asked for a clarification of which projects on the road widening project have been officially canceled, which ones are on hold, and about when they might be reinstated. If you would direct
Get with
someone to give us
Mr.
that
Rue after
information, that'd be
or at DPW,
helpful.
and he will be able to supply you with that list. I just want to remind the citizens of this parish that the Transportation Committee asks that you obey the speed signs and to remember that school is fixing to let out. Keep our children safe. Thank you.
Motion adjourned. Madam Chairman.
The meeting is adjourned.